So please welcome Thorsten Gau.
Okay, so then the next 12 minutes is about AI in healthcare. I said digital care to make it more fancy, the title. So quick basics about AI. So what do AI systems do? They learn patterns from data, and they do so by using a pipeline. On the start of the pipeline, there's always the sensors. So the sensors can act like your ears or your eyes, or they can sense the amount of carbon oxygen in the room, or your heart rate, or whatever. Then you have some data, and then the data gets refined. You do analytics on the data. You see where they have peaks, where they have low ends, and then there is a intelligence that makes sense out of the data and then transforms it to information. So it doesn't tell you anything that my heart rate is 68, but it may be higher than 2 minutes before or lower, whatever. And then it can give advice. So it can give advice, and it could use simple screens to show something like the clock there, or it could use text-to-speech technology to talk to you like I'm doing. So this is what AI does. The biggest misconception about AI is it will rule the world. So the good news for everybody is it won't for the next 5 years. So if you have seen stuff like Ex Machina, so Eve the evil robot who passes the Turing test and is undistinguishable from humans, this is not what we have today. If we would have it today, we would call it general AI or strong AI. We don't have it. What we have is on the left-hand side, those very narrow assistants. And I'm from IBM, I'm doing projects, and we like to call it assisted intelligence, not artificial intelligence, because sorry for that, there is no intelligence at all. It's all just statistic and maths. So, but it's still useful. So what those assistants like Siri and Alexa and Google Assistant and Cortana, and I could have put Samsung's Bixby on the slide. Nobody knows about that. So I didn't put it there. So they all are helpful. So I'm using those assistants like Google Maps every morning, even though I'm driving here in Hamburg, my hometown. It's useful because they tell me about the traffic. So I use those assistants, but I wouldn't never dare to do discuss some ethical questions with Google Maps. It won't just work. And in the middle, there's natural assistants, and humans are different too. Humans make mistakes, and AI make mistakes, because what the humans and the systems have in common, they need to be trained. They need to be trained, and if we train them the wrong way, we get it wrong. Everybody who has children may see that they something get it wrong, and with more age you get it wrong, but you have also more experience. So humans are different, systems are different. So last slide on AI basics. You all had math in school, and you may have heard at statistics as much as I do. But at the end, AI is all about statistics. So if you ever have done linear regression, and if you have put a straight line through a set of dots, this is what AI does. And AI does it much more clever, so it can do curved line between two sets of dots, and those could be used to classify email. So if you do not want all those advertisements for Viagra and so, you can use AI to filter out all those emails. Or the post can use AI to recognize digits, the zip code, to send the paper mails, if you ever send some of those. Or you can use it to detect client sentiment. Is this a happy customer or a sad customer? And well, you wouldn't attribute that to AI, but this is just statistics, and you can do it. Or if we talk about healthcare, we can use AI to detect whether a dot on your skin is actually skin cancer. You can take a photo with your camera, or you can take a probe from your blood and detect malaria cells. More on that. So this is actual classification. Is it A or B? The other thing that AI can do is to predict something. You can predict the outcome. So if we take a non-health example, you have the weather, and you have a field of corn or wheat, and you can predict the outcome. Well, if AI would be that great, everybody would predict the stock price in the stock market. It doesn't work, so it's still limited. And the last and third thing that AI can do is do clustering. So clustering is what everybody knows from Amazon. Users who bought this book also bought the other book, or from your favorite music channel. If you like this song, you may like that song, or you can use it in digital care. If you have those symptoms, there are chances that you might suffer this illness. And this brings me now to the healthcare topic. The challenge with healthcare is it's the most analog industry we probably have. At least for Germany, I could have said it's not about healthy humans, it's about the healthcare system, which is sick. Because the system is so sick, a lot of doctors still have those paper archives, and they use high sophisticated devices like a telefax to send copies of one of those letters with handwritten stuff to the next doctor. Well, they have X-ray and so on, but humans really get tidy on looking at those X-rays. So the good news is the best doctors, if they look at an X-ray, they still outperform the AI. And if it's, for example, about breast cancer, the top radiologists are better than AI. The bad news is at the end of a 10-hour day or a 16-hour day, they perform less good than AI. And so you can ask the question, is it ethical not to use AI to improve their results? It's not the question about replacing doctors with AI. It's like a driver assistant. If you drive and you have a good co-driver, he may say, wait a minute, there's a bicycle on the right-hand side, you shouldn't turn right now. And you have heard this more than often in the news here in Hamburg, that drivers don't see the bicycles on the right, so it would be nice to give them a warning. And same for AI in healthcare, it would be good, the doctor, to warn them, take a closer look here. And the next thing that AI can do is combine the data. Take the EKG, so your heart signals, combine it with vital signals from all those fitness devices, take an image. And with this, for example, we used AI in an intensive care unit for babies who have been born too early to detect sepsis, so which is serious blood illnesses, early on, 36 hours before the doctor can detect it, so that treatment can start earlier, which raises a chance to save the little baby. The biggest challenge on AI is about AI needs data, and I had it on the previous slide. So, and you can see whether you are better than AI or you aren't. So it's not that easy sometimes to distinguish the tasty cookie from the dog. And this is a problem we have all the time. So the foundation that we need is nothing about AI. It's about IT in general. We need security, we need privacy, and we need reliability. So if we put our most precious value, which is our personal data, on those systems, those data disappear somewhere in the world where there are governments we don't trust. So the first thing is security. And once we agree that the data is kept private, we want to rely that the system is available. So let's assume that one. The next most complicated, most challenging thing is bias. Bias is an unfairness. It's an unfairness to the same direction all the time. And if you have more time, tomorrow at 10, my colleague, wave your hand, we'll talk about just this for 12 minutes. So I don't want to steal the thunder. I just want to tell you, systems get a lot of stuff wrong. They get a lot of stuff wrong, and you look for that, you find a lot of bad examples. And what you then need, you want explainability. So if it got wrong, why did the system got it wrong? If the system got it right, are we really sure that it's right? So what we are currently doing in research is working on those what we call trusted AI. So trusted AI that is secure, that is unbiased, or can detect the bias, and that we can explain why we happen there. Another picture, just for your fun, can you distinguish what this is? So in the last row, it's ice cream or dogs. And it's very hard to train system this stuff. Okay, so more practical. How can we see how AI arrives somewhere? So this is blood. And what we are doing, we are starting a little app here. and we put the photo camera of an iPad, and now we will see all the blood cells. And there's a lot of noise here, and you can't read it. It will give you the probability that this is a red blood cell. Nothing wrong with having red blood cells. The wrong thing is this green one here, and because this is a trophocyte, which is a kind of parasite with malaria. We now switched off the red blood cells, and now it's more easier to spot. So there's one here, and another one will come up there. And if you look at it, it's quite hard to detect. So the problem is there are just not enough doctors in the world to detect all the malaria cases. And if you have malaria, you need treatment within 24 hours. And if there's nobody who can look at the real picture, it would be nice to have an eye and support the doctors. So this, and then it needs to tell you, I think here is something to look closer, and then you can send the photo to a real doctor, not just a machine, and then he can confirm or say it isn't. If we do not want to use AI to do medical decisions, we can use AI to improve the processes. So for example, what we did with University Hospitals of Schleswig-Holstein, or UKSH in Kiel and Lübeck, they are using a chatbot to make the admission into the hospital much more easy. Because the challenge is there are just too many patients who want to get admission in the morning. So what we do the admission at home like you do with Lufthansa or any other airline. Then you have a QR code, and then you can go the fast track. And at home, it's also much easier to answer questions. What medication are you using? If you don't know, you just take a look at the packaging, and you might not have it with you when you enter the hospital. So this is process improvement. So last slide, 30 seconds left. So AI is about assisting humans. It's not about replacing humans. The most challenging thing, data, data, data. And always keep in mind, it's just a tool. It's just like the knife. So in lunch break, you can use a knife to spread butter on your bread, or you can use the knife to put it into the stomach of your neighbor, which wouldn't be a good use. Same thing with technology. If you want more about this, I invite you to join the Blue Hackers Club, which is a meetup here in Hamburg, or to come to Berlin or Kiel, where we do this on large scale. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Thorsten. And now we have 6 minutes of time for your questions. So who has a question? You can also answer or ask a question in German if you like. Yes. Just let us know who you are and then ask.
Ja, ich werde es auf Deutsch versuchen. Sie sagen ja, es ist nur ein Tool, was man nutzen kann und was assistieren soll. Wie begegnet man der Gefahr, dass dann die Unternehmen das dann doch zum Ersetzen benutzt? Also dass Kompetenz verloren geht, weil der Computer ja so viel zuverlässiger die bestimmten falschen Zellen erkennt als der Mensch, dass der Mensch irgendwann sagt, ja, der kann das eh besser, ich vertraue den einfach, ich mache das nur, und dann kommt irgendwann der Personalchef und sagt, ja, das hat jetzt in den letzten 100 Fällen 99 Mal der Computer gemacht, einmal der Mensch, den sparen wir auch noch.
So I take the mic and do it in English to paraphrase for the people watching. So it's how can we prevent AI replacing humans? I think there will be changes. Let's face it. It's like with any industrialization. Before we had the machines, people had to go into the mountain to get the coal out of the mountain. Then we had other industrial revolutions. There will be changes. So my point is, we as humans need to step up and find new ways what we can do better than AI. And we need to educate people that they can perform better, and we need to work as a society to ensure that people still have a meaningful life. Before we had a panel and we said it's not just a base salary that everybody gets. It's about, we need to think about as a society what we use it for and what we don't use it for. Because if we don't think, the big companies in the world will do it anyway, and then it will just happen to us. And I don't have all the answers. Sorry for that.
Yes.
Well, maybe a follow-up question, because I do think that's the biggest question of our generation. How do we figure this one out? And not losing jobs, but what to do with AI and what not, because it might just become very powerful. Do you talk about how society can deal with this? What's the best way to go forward? Do this on a government level? Do this on a private level? Start an NGO that work with Elon Musk on OpenAI. How do we do this? What do you think?
Thank you.
So I think as a society we need to agree on some principles, and then it needs everybody to make those principles happen. So I'm fully convinced that any government, let's say Angela says I want this or that to happen. Unless we make it happen, it won't happen. But we as consumers have a lot of influence. It's like do you buy the eggs from well-treated hens and not well-treated hens? It's the end, it's the buying power, it's the people here in the room who can buy products, who use trusted, responsive AI, responsible AI, or who don't. And so I think this is a good conference. We need to work together to ensure that disruption doesn't happen to us and we change it. So I think it's all. It's us, it's the government, it's NGOs who need to work together.
Hi, I'm Sasha. I just had a conversation with my partner here, and we were like, I'm on the. You have like the conventional medicine and care, and then you have the it's not alternative, but the other guys who are not looking only at the symptoms, like the picture and the eye does. The holistic ones, exactly. What do you think about working together? Because this is, according to the AI, I only see like looking at the picture, looking at the symptoms. But if I'm more into the look at the whole system, what is the approach?
I fully agree. We need to do this, and this was the example with the intensive care unit for babies. It's really looking about everything, combining the data, and understanding more how the holistic human works. It's just not enough to measure the temperature and make a diagnosis. So, and for that, we need to collect the data, have experts understand the data, hopefully separate the data from the person, because it's about understanding medicine. It's not about understanding Joe or Jane. So therefore I'm strongly think we need to do this.
We have one last question here.
Thanks. Hi, I'm Tobias. You already gave some nice healthcare AI examples, but where do you see personally the biggest potential within the healthcare sector for AI in the next 3 years?
I think there are two areas. The one area is the processes and the interconnectivity of healthcare systems. This is not about AI, but unless we integrate the general doctors, the medical doctors, the specialists, the experts in the university hospitals, with pharma, with the payers, we have a challenge in general. So one thing is improve the processes, the collaboration within healthcare. It's not about medicine. And the other thing is, as we said, collect data and then use it to support the doctors, because we just do not have enough of them. In Germany, we are lucky. In Africa, in India, it's quite different. And even if you take the Mecklenburg-Vorpommern, a lot of people, and this is Germany, this is not somewhere in the world, but a lot of people can't reach to go to an expert easily because the distance is too long. So I really think we need to do something.